Hello, Dawgpound South campers. This is the Cleveland Browns Dawgpound South podcast, part of the Fanatical Elves Network, part of the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Steve Gill, and we've got a month until the draft. Can't get here quick enough. The discourse amongst Browns fans is just getting to the point where this should be the conversation a week out from the draft. So we got a whole month of this garbage. Look, um, first of all, let me start by saying there are no big risers and players that are dropping. Draft boards are set. Draft boards were set around the time of the combine. They're set. I mean, the Browns have been working on this draft for a year and a half. They're already working on the 26 and beginning to work on the 27 draft. So draft boards are set. They know everything they need to know. You got the interview process, the coming to the facility, the 30 visits, which everybody does. A lot of people were upset that the Browns had in Tyler Sloth from Louisville. I got a feeling Mary Kay Cabot got a heads up that he was coming for one of the 30 visits. That's why she put his name in her little podcast or recording. That way she could look like she knows what she's talking about. He's 26 years old. Guardrails don't count when you're talking about quarterbacks and guys who are going to play special teams because their careers are longer than most position players. So, but they're not gonna draft him. First of all, it never hurt. I mean, last year I think they used 24 of the 30 visits. You don't have to use them all. They can be strategic. And this one might be a case, what if another AFC team drafts him, or even an AFC North team drafts him day 3? You get to know him. Little opposition research. How about that? But they are not going to draft him. Now, he does have one plus. A lot of college playing experience. You look at Bo Nix, who was in college for 18 years. I'm kidding. It feels like it. And that's why Sean Payton drafted him. He liked that experience. Michael Penix down in Atlanta, they liked him because he had a lot of college experience. So you can get to that point where you feel college experience can outweigh the age. Whatever. I can't see them drafting him, so let's not worry about it. But we are getting into a point where we're getting ridiculous about the number 2 pick. If Cam Ward is there, the Browns will jump all over him. Out of a terrible quarterback draft, he is the better one. And, that's not saying much compared to the other guys, but he is the better one. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Sanders going to, and we're going to hear this now until the draft is over. Personally, I don't see him as a top 10 pick. I don't see him as a top 5 pick. He is a little underwhelming. He's got an average arm. He runs into a lot of sacks. Now, everybody will say, well, he had a poor offensive line. Well, yeah, he didn't help himself a lot of times by running into sacks like Deshaun Watson has done his entire career. They aren't that high on him as opposed to Cam Ward. Now, everybody assumes the Titans are going to take Cam Ward at number 1. They're trying to trade out because they need capital. The Browns they were a 3-14 team, but their talent-wise, they're not as bad as a 3-14 team. Tennessee is as bad as the 3-14 team. They are rebuilding, and it's going to take them a couple of years to rebuild. So you got to wonder who they're going to take. Well, like I said on Thursday, this is the new GM's signature pick. Every Browns fan in the world hates Andrew Berry because he took Jedrick Wills with his very first pick. I'll get to that in a minute. So this is what he's going to be known for. Trading or drafting Cam Ward. I asked someone who's in the know, who knows about NFL front offices. I asked him, well, what do you think Tennessee is going to do? And he said, this is what he said. He said, it's a strange situation. It's bizarre. So all I know is, like I said on Thursday, they had all these big free agent signings. They rebuilt their offensive line with 2 veterans. They got some great DeMonte Jones. They got some defensive players, and yet they didn't have a news conference. They didn't introduce the players to the media and the fans. Why would you not do that? Get your fans excited. The stadium's already starting to be built. I mean, it's already got concrete poured, and you can see the outline of the stadium. I mean, why not get your fans excited? Bizarre. This front office is weird. And you got to take that in consideration when you're thinking about what Tennessee might do. So far, all they've shown is a very, very weirdness. Let's take a quick break. All right, welcome back. Just a reminder, go to our Facebook page or YouTube page, and we are sponsored. Check out our sponsor, Hemisphere Coffee. I like good coffee. Used to own a coffee shop. I still have a great relationship with my roaster, and my roaster has a great relationship with the people he imports beans. That's very important if you want good coffee, and they shake the hand of the farmer. All right, getting back to all this madness. So I still contend, and I know that the Browns are high on Cam Ward and they're high on Abdul Carter. Now, if you mention Abdul Carter, some Browns fans' heads explode. And they go, well, you know, you can't do this and you can't do that. You got to have a quarterback. You can't. If the quarterback is not a top 5 quarterback, you don't draft him. That's what gets teams in trouble when they draft quarterbacks that shouldn't be drafted that high. Okay? So, you know, you can go online and you can hunt and find clips of this guy and that guy and say, well, this is the reason why I don't want the Browns to take them, or this is the reason why I do want them to take them. Selection. A selective reasoning is not a reason, and NFL teams don't use selective reasoning. So everybody talks that Kevin Stefanski is finally going to get his guy. They're going to let him pick his quarterback. I hate to tell you this. He can tell Andrew Berry which players he likes and has. You know, everybody bitches and moans about analytics. Well, if they followed analytics strictly, they would have taken Wirfs over Wills. But somebody in that building wanted Wills. And forget about that report of Bill Callahan wanting Wirfs. I don't know where that came from. Apparently, he wanted Wills. So, and also, people who hate analytics, if they really stuck to analytics, they wouldn't have drafted David Bell, even though Kevin Stefanski wanted him. And they wouldn't have drafted Sika Ika, even though Jim Schwartz wanted it. So they take a little of the analytics, and then they also talk to the coaches. The front office does. That's the way it's always been, and that's the way it's going to be. So if they don't draft Sanders, it's because Kevin Stefanski doesn't want Sanders. I mean, everybody bitches and moans about Kevin Stefanski's play calling, his decision making, his Denny's menu. But now, if you're wanting him to draft Sanders, you're sitting there going, "Oh, Kevin Stefanski, he's going to make him a better quarterback. He's going to make him a franchise quarterback." I don't know if he's got a magic wand to make his Sanders deficiency magically go away? You can't complain about Kevin Stefanski and then hype Kevin Stefanski at the same time. Look, they will take the quarterback they feel comfortable with. If, like I said, if Tennessee does not, if whoever picks first doesn't take Cam Ward, then the Browns are going to take Cam Ward. If Cam Ward is gone, they're going to try to convince somebody not too far away to come up and get Sanders so they can have more draft capital. But if nobody wants, then they're going to take Abdul Carter. I watched the Super Bowl. I saw what Philly's D-line did to everybody's best quarterback in the league, Pat Mahomes. Destroyed him. We'll get to the free agent quarterbacks in a minute. Good defense always wins. So, quarterback carousel that's going on right now. Aaron Rodgers went and met with the Steelers. Ryan Tannehill, who I didn't even know was still in the league, got signed by the Vikings as a backup. So now you got Russ Wilson, you got Joe Flacco, you've got Carson Wentz, who I was told still got a little gas in the tank. I'd have to see it to believe it. Excuse me. And then you got the Kirk Cousins stuff. Kirk Cousins is part of the Atlanta Falcons right now. And the Falcons are trying to get somebody, desperately trying to get somebody to trade. They don't want to carry that contract. I'm sorry, they don't. $37.5 million, and you just gave him another $10 million, and you guaranteed $10 million next year. To trade him, they are going to have to redo his deal if they're serious. Now, that might happen probably around the draft. It could happen during the draft. As for Russell Wilson, I know the Browns are interested. The interview, the get-together was a lot more thorough than what the local media want to make of it. And I know Joe Flacco would love to come back to Cleveland because I watched him last year with the Colts. Yuck. And the year before he played with the Jets. Yuck. So, yeah, he'd like to play a couple more years as a 40-year-old guy. And like I said, I don't know about Carson Wentz. He had a couple good years. I mean, he had 3 good years where he started every game, but he hadn't started consistently since 2021. And since then, he's been with McVay and he's been with Andy Reid. So I don't know, So quarterback still waiting. It appears Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the Steelers. Don't know yet. The Browns, you'll hear from the local media, the Browns don't have the money to sign Russ. That's a load of hogwash. You can sign somebody to a $20 million 3-year contract with $30 million guaranteed and still pay them in the neighborhood of $3 or $4 million their first year. And that's doable. They created extra money when they redid Jack Conklin's. Right now they have $20 million under the cap. Nobody talks about that in the local media up there. They keep telling you how bad their cap situation is, but they don't tell you how they creatively created more money. And that's what they do. If they need it, they'll do it. Okay. Nick Chubb, the longer it goes, the more likely he'll sign with the Browns. Excuse me. So that's a good thing. As for wide receivers, the free agent wide receivers are overpriced. They're aging and they're overpriced. They want to trade for a wide receiver. They tried to get Chris Olave from the Saints. Saints are keeping him. They're keeping an eye on the Brandon Ayuk situation. On April 1st, he is due $22 million. San Francisco hated this contract when they signed him to it. I can't imagine them wanting to pay him $22 million. I worry a little bit about that knee, but if the Browns are in on Brandon Ayuk, they got to clean up that contract for the Browns to trade for him. Tight end, they tried to get, like I keep saying, they tried to get Michael Mayer, but Vegas wants to keep it. The number 2 veteran tight end free agent list ain't that great. So I just keep Akins. But they're trying to trade. It takes two teams to complete a trade. You can't just go to a team and say, I want that guy, and they give him to you. It you gotta work it out. They're trying. So that's it for this week. Just remember the next month, be nice to your fellow Browns fan. Everybody has an opinion about this. And yes, you can be wrong. I will readily admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong when I thought that the Titans would take Sanders, and I admitted it. I don't know what the Titans are going to do. But just remember, if they stay there, their new GM, this is what he's going to be known for. His very first pick as an NFL GM. So I got a feeling that's weighing him down some, and that's why they're getting a bunch of muddled reports out of Nashville here. So that's it for today. Just hang in there. We've got a month until this draft, probably less than that until the schedule comes out. We can talk about that and argue about that. So everybody enjoy your day. Enjoy the basketball. This has been the Cleveland Browns Dawgpound South podcast, part of the Fanatical Elves Network, part of the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Steve Gill, and have a great day, and go Browns.